that standard for impeachment, but it's very important and urgent that we get him out of office.
The president has obstructed justice. The remedy for obstruction of justice is impeachment.
Impeach 45! Impeach 45! I didn't hear you. Impeach 45! Thank you.
Mark Green's been around Democratic politics for decades at many levels, and he joins us tonight to assess this impeach Trump campaign. Mark, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me back.
So, you know, there's disagreement among Democrats about whether Trump should be impeached before Mueller finishes investigation or after, but there's pretty wide agreement among Democrats, at least in D.C., that he ought to be impeached. Let's say that happens. What happens next? Would you be happy with President Pence?
I completely disagree with earnest progressive Democrats who say, tactically, not legally, oh, let's not impeach Trump because Pence will be worse. First, they don't know it. You and I don't know better or worse, really. It's so speculative. But Justice Learned Hand wrote, "Let justice be done even if the heavens fall," close quote. And so if Donald Trump has committed impeachable offenses, whether he's succeeded by Albert Schweitzer or Richard Nixon coming back, the law should do what it's supposed to do. Now, politically...
Pardon me while I laugh. I mean, it's just like so dumb. The last president who was impeached committed perjury, and I think I remember you saying, oh, it doesn't rise to the level. I mean, this is totally political. That's fine. It's a political process. Well, let's just admit it. Don't quote Learned Hand. I mean, please.
Excuse me. Clearly, it's by and large a political process. Gerald Ford, as president, said impeachment is whatever a majority of the Congress thinks. It's not a judicial process, otherwise they would have given it to the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
But, you know, every so often when someone wants to impeach Chief Justice Earl Warren or Barack Obama, and then you say, why? It's fringe, it's conspiratorial, it's a joke. As we speak, 49% of the public in the PPP poll last month think Donald Trump should be impeached. That's not sufficient. 41% think he should not. So something is going on. Now, tactically, I'm admitting that I think it would look bad to try to impeach before the Mueller process has been completed on the chance that they exonerate Trump or they indict Trump. Who knows? Also, politically, let's face it, the House Republicans will do nothing independent of Trump. And so it's a completely compromised jury.
But I wonder, well, no, I mean, they're from the same party. Of course, they're not going to be for impeachment. But I wonder, so Steyer is spending another $20 million.
Right.
And I wonder, like, maybe it would be better for the cause, liberalism, progressive liberalism, to maybe spend that money, I don't know, helping the millions of Americans who are addicted to drugs or who can't find jobs, who are living on the streets in liberal cities across the country, or who think they're going to make less than their parents did, which is the majority of the middle class. Why not solve those problems and you win?
A liberal like Tom Steyer doesn't listen to your advice on how to spend his money, just like the Koch brothers, who are worth $100 billion. Steyer's worth puny $1 billion, will listen to me. The reason that he doesn't want to do that, I think, I don't know Tom Steyer, only one person in the world could provoke a nuclear war with North Korea because of his infantile tweets. Only one person in the world will allow the EPA and now the the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau to be effectively denuded and eliminated because his business donors don't like it. That's according to Lindsey Graham.
Grotesque oversight. I mean, look, here's the point. Trump got elected for a reason. Hold on, but Trump got elected for a reason. Like him or not, the middle class is dying in this country. It's a disaster.
Trump wasn't elected. Trump wasn't elected.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't put him in there. Look, if you're going to be in that case, right? Okay.
He lost the vote. So don't give me the people think this. The people opposed him, and the 1789 Electoral College had a different idea.
Oh, right. All those dead white guys came back and made him president along with Vladimir Putin. Okay, Mark, good luck.
I need it.
I hope you're the spokesman for the Democratic Party. It's so awesome. Well, it's easy to see the big winner in the downfall of Matt Lauer. It's Hillary Clinton. What? In 2016, Lauer moderated the Commander-in-Chief Forum in which he held separate half-hour interviews with then-candidates Clinton and Trump. According to Clinton supporters, Lauer was too easy on Trump and far too tough on Hillary Clinton.
You were communicating on highly sensitive topics. Why wasn't it more than a mistake? Why wasn't it disqualifying, if you want to be commander-in-chief? Were some of the emails sent or received by you referring to our drone program, our covert drone program? Some of the emails you sent and received happened while you were overseas, and Director Comey also said that while they have no proof, we assess that it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email accounts.
Look at how much she hates him in that tape. It's visible. In her book, What Happened, Clinton herself says she, quote, fantasized about attacking Lauer because of his alleged bias. Perhaps his firing is a serviceable substitute. Philippe Brains is a former Hillary Clinton spokesman and a longtime advisor to her, and he joins us tonight. Philippe, thanks for coming up.
No, thank you, Tucker.
So, I'm trying to. I remember I watched that when it happened, and I thought, you know, if I, who obviously disagrees with Hillary Clinton on everything, had asked her those questions, I doubt she would have been half as offended. I always thought she was mad at Matt Lauer because he was supposed to be part of the group. Like, he's a fellow liberal. He works at NBC, and he had the temerity to ask her hard questions. That was the sin.
I don't think so. You know, they have a history going back a long way, so I think it was on his show that she blamed the vast right-wing conspiracy that I'm sitting in the middle of.
Never forget it.
And I think she was braced for a tough interview, and she's not upset, and she wasn't upset that her interview was tough. What was unnerving and baffling to us was the disparity between her half hour and the next half hour. And I think, you know, in hindsight, you called it finally we won. I wouldn't put it that way. But it is a little clearer than it was a year ago.
So part of it, I would say, having interviewed President Trump a number of times, he's a tough interview. It's hard. It's hard to interview President Trump. Many people have had that experience. Maybe that was part of it. It's hard to believe, though, that Matt Lauer went soft on Donald Trump because he's somehow like a secret right-winger.
No, I don't think that's what it is at all. I think there are a couple of things at play. First, I think you have a lot of people in the media who have since all but acknowledged that they thought Hillary Clinton would be president, and therefore she needed to be vetted harder. Right. And yes, I've seen a lot of tape of President Trump. I had the misfortune or fortune of playing him in debate prep. And yes, he's an expert in avoiding the answers, but that doesn't excuse not asking tough questions. So when he looks at then Mr. Trump and says, so tell me, how are you going to get ready to be president if you win? That's a little bit of a softball as opposed to, well, what do you say to people who say you don't have any experience and you're not ready? And again, it's not that she wanted an easy interview. I mean, the woman goes through life with tough interviews. It's you want a little bit of balance.
So I just see a theme here that I've seen, I don't know, since I covered the 92 campaign 25 years ago, where Hillary Clinton simultaneously bills herself as the toughest human being in the world and plays the victim at exactly the same time. They're being mean to me. It's biased. They don't like me because I'm a woman. They don't like me because my husband. They don't like me because they're right wing. Why always the excuses and complaints?
I don't think they're excuses and complaints. I think they are observations. You know, we might not be 100% right when we say these things, but we're not 100% wrong. You know, let's just assume that we're right about these criticisms every now and then, and we're not crazy people. And I think this is a great example of a time that is very hard to say that there wasn't a very odd disparity. I don't think his colleagues or his network would take any issue with that.
Right. I mean, I think what's
and
true,
the rest of what you'd call the liberal media also hammered.
Well, they never liked Hillary Clinton. I mean, they loved her positions on abortion.
But they hammered Matt Lauer.
They're all committed, obviously, to abortion and immigration and all the things. They agree with her on all that. But they never liked her personally, and she never treated them well, to be honest. And you were part of that. I would say, yelling at reporters and
always been a pussycat.
Yes, right. But again, it gets back to the point. Do genuinely strong people complain about unfair coverage constantly?
Well, I mean, this is not exactly the question you're asking, but I think given the news, that's an interesting question, because talking to someone like Matt Lauer with what we know now in hindsight, he might not exactly enjoy talking to strong women who are going to push back. He seems to be a little bit more used to...
Oh, come on! The strong... But if she's so strong, why is she always whining about bias?
She's not whining. Is there bias? Is there no bias in the world?
There's tons of bias.
Is there no harassment in the world?
There's tons of bias in the world.
Well, some of it comes her way every now and then.
But if I taught my children to feel as persecuted as Hillary Clinton clearly feels, they'd be on the psychiatrist's couch. You know what I mean?
Well, she herself said sometimes she thinks she should be on the psychiatrist's couch, and she opted for Chardonnay instead. But it is a baffling look back at that.
It's interesting, and the response is interesting.